Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to part 2 of What If Deku had Carnage. This is going to be a shorter video than usual because I'm posting 3 videos today instead of 2, like I did last night. I know that I'm slowing down on the posting. It's because I'm going to be busy for a long time. And posting a lot of videos at once strains me out and makes me too tired, which makes me yawn more, and you guys don't really want to hear me yawning the whole video now, do you? 20 minutes of just yawns. Anyway, so last we left off, Deku jumped out a window and went home. After Deku got home, he was still in his full suit mode. As Deku thought, I want to test something. As he shrinks down and just walks underneath the door. His mom would think it was just an ant trying to step on him, but then Deku would just jump to the side and just start running off really fast at incredible speeds. His mom thought it was just like a superpowered ant, and she would just run over to the couch, or walk over to the couch and just sit down and watch TV again, just thinking that maybe it's just a one of a kind. Maybe it doesn't have a pack or a colony. Deku unshrinks in his room, and Carnage goes back in his body and says, "Well, that was an experience. Hey, can you go get me some meat?" As Deku says, "Why don't you just use out your tentacles, go under the door, and sneak some food in here? I gotta study, you know." Carnage says, "Study for what? You're not going to that hero school. You already made that announcement today." Deku says, "I know I'm not going to that stupid hero school. I'm studying up on some quirk. I'm studying up on as many quirks as I can from heroes and villains. Anyone that's been listed in the quirk, system, I'm going to write down all their quirks and their weaknesses and possible weaknesses, and I'm going to exploit those, especially whenever I come across them." Carnage says, "That's a good idea. The only one we need to get is All Might, though. All Might's our only challenge." Deku says, "Yeah, what about Endeavor, though? Endeavor and maybe that Present Mic guy that does his own talk show." Carnage says, "Yeah, Voice Wave and Heat Stroke." Deku says, "Who are those?" Carnage says, "Never mind, they're just, well, I guess you can call him a giant walking candle for that Endeavor guy, and a loudspeaker for that Present Mic dude." Deku laughs and says, "Yeah, sure, whatever. Anyways, now, help me write down all these quirks, will ya, you useless symbiotes?" As Carnage reads out his tentacles, grabbing pencils and pens all around his room, and grabbing a bunch of other notebooks, and starts writing down information on all quirks in the quirk dex. I'm calling it a quirk dex because it's better than saying quirk index or quirk apprehendex or whatever. So the quirk dex, all quirks that have ever been recorded from throughout history, were written down into 57 notebooks. On the 58th one, had Deku's quirk. Everything about Deku's quirk. Well, quote, quirk. Everything about the symbiotes, where they came from, all the history, the creator, their weaknesses, their strengths, how to keep them in control, what a perfect bond is, and their attitude variation changes. And this notebook, he kept in himself. If you're asking how he does it, I'm just going to say that something that ever gets attached to a symbiote and goes back into the body of the host gets separated from their body, kind of like a different storage, like a dimension, but not really. It's just stored in the symbiote's liquid state inside the body. It doesn't phase the host at all. It just stays there. And that one would constantly stay in Deku's body, so that only he knows the weaknesses of all symbiotes. So, as these 10 months of training would go by, Deku's been working on his quirk, and he would ask people ways to get resistant to heat and sound. Like, if there's a way to do that. And they would all give him hints and, like, details and stuff. The most he got was just use thermite and just stand next to it. Just let the heat vary off of you. And for sound, just get a lot of speakers and just set them next to you and just stand in front of them. Deku would write down these and just say, okay, thank you. And you would just walk back and Carnage would pop out. His head would just pop out walking next to him and say, so, you doing these things or not? Deku would say, well, duh, do you want to be invincible? Carnage would say, you got a point, partner. Now, give me some food, I'm hungry. Deku would say, fine. This time, I'll let you have a little treat. You're allowed to have one human. How does that sound? Carnage says, excellent. Now, I seen a human walk by earlier. Deku says, not in daylight, you idiots. We're gonna go do this in an alleyway or something. Carnage says, fine. Street food is better than regular food anyways. Deku laughs and says, yeah, sure. Whatever you say, symbiote hobo. As they would just walk around town and just find an alleyway where someone was. As they would come across this girl that was pink hair and pink skin with these yellow horns on her head. Carnage was about to come out and Deku said, wait, I know this one. Mina Ashido. Quirk Acid. Carnage says, so? What about her? Deku says, if she's sitting here in an alleyway, something bad must have happened to her, and her quirk's really useful for breaking down people after a murder. Carnage says, now I see where you're coming. Eat her so we can take her quirk. Deku says, no, I will eat a taser just so that you can get shocked infinitely. Carnage says, this will kill you too, you know. Deku says, yeah, well, it's better than listening to you talk about eating someone that can be useful for us. Now shut up and help me get her out of here. You could eat a human later. Carnage says, fine, but you won't like who I eat. Deku says, whatever. Just don't do it when I'm around. Carnage says, fine. As they carry Mina to Deku's house, without Inko recognizing, and as Deku says, alright, go, you can think of a person to eat, and let's go eat them. Carnage says, alright, you said you didn't care who it was. So, and I hate to do this to poor innocent Inko, but you know what's gonna happen. Carnage takes over Deku's body, forming him into the state like this, as he leans over Inko and says, let's have a snack, as he bites Inko's head off and proceeds to consume the rest of her. After Carnage goes back into his body saying, that was a delicious snack, Deku asks, who'd you eat? Carnage says, a green-haired lady that stayed in this apartment. Deku says, you ate my mother. Carnage says, well, you said you didn't care who I ate. Deku says, fine, next time ask me who you're gonna eat. As Deku would walk over to the counter where some flowers were in a little vase, would walk over to where the little pool of blood was on the couch and would set the flowers down with a little picture of Inko right next to it, and it says, rest in peace, Inko Midoriya. As Deku would say, now we have to move apartments, you dipshit. We're gonna get caught for murder if they smell the blood in here. Carnage is like, well, I'm sorry I got hungry. You said I can have a human. As Deku would say, yeah, whatever. Grab the girl, let's get out of here. As Carnage's tentacles would reach out, grabbing Mina as they would jump out the window of the apartment, and they would just run off. As they were running, they found an abandoned bar. Well, what they thought was abandoned, when really Kirigiri and Shigaraki was standing there. They got a little hostile, but Kirigiri stopped Shigaraki and would say, wait a minute, these two might be useful. Let's get Master to approve these two. Deku says, what Master? You guys don't have any control over me. As these tentacles start flaring out of Deku's body and start waving in the air wildly. As Shigaraki says, yeah, you're one insane kid. I want you to join my group, kid. Deku says, what's the group called? Shigaraki smirks and says, the League of Villains. And that's where I'm going to stop it. I hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.